The state of California just handed Democrats a bit of good news. Adam Gray flipped the 13th congressional district by just 187 votes, leaving Republicans with the smallest House majority in nearly a century. Plus, the final ballots in the presidential election have officially been counted, and Donald Trump captured less than 50% of the popular vote, winning by just 1.6%. That is hardly the mandate Trump has been bragging about, but still, Democrats seem deflated. When Donald Trump won in 2016, there was a very different energy among Democrats. It led to the Women's March, where millions of people turned out across the country on Inauguration Day. But this time around, are we even going to see a march? Or will people curl up on their couch and watch Netflix instead? Here to help answer that question, Simon Rosenberg, Democratic strategist and author of the Hopium Chronicles on Substack, and Reed Galen, president of the JoinTheUnion.us and host of the Homefront podcast. Simon, what do you think?
I'm not worried about Democrats being engaged. I think
Hold on, Simon,
Yeah.
You also said the words, "I'm not worried," in June, July, August, September, and October.
I understand, and Stephanie, I was ready. I was ready for that. I think I was not alone in believing that we were going to win this election, so I'm happy to take that shot tonight. But let's say that one thing that we know about what did happen in this election and what happened in 2022 and in 2023 is that the Democratic grassroots was there. I mean, we raised unprecedented amounts of money. We saw unprecedented number of volunteers. We made unprecedented numbers of voter contacts. I think of the things that went right. One of the things was the intensity of the Democratic family in fighting Donald Trump was there in these elections. We didn't win the election. We didn't have the election we wanted to have. But as you said earlier, this was a very close election, and we did have some important wins along with the disappointments that we had. So I am not worried. I appreciate you saying that we're going to see that when we're ready and we recover from this disappointing time, that I think that the Democratic family is going to be there fighting it out as it has been in recent elections.
But Reed, why do you think the energy is so different now from when Trump won in 2016 among Democrats?
Well, first and foremost, I think 2016 was just a shock to all of us, including Donald Trump. No one thought that he was going to win, let alone him. And so I think that there was this surge of, oh, my God, did this really happen? We have to do something about it. We have to do something about it right now. I think now what you're seeing is, we lost the White House. Democrats lost the House, lost the Senate. Yes, the House is narrow, as you mentioned earlier. But I think now it's a little bit of where do we go from here? I think Simon's absolutely right. I was proud to be out on the doors most of the last weeks of the campaign. But I would say this is that we have to figure out how we're going to get more voters to the polls. Like Donald Trump fell below 50%. Okay. Like that's not a mandate. Okay. Tell ourselves that all we want. The problem is that millions of voters who should have shown up did not. And I think that we have to figure out how to communicate them and how to get them reengaged in special elections in Wisconsin, in gubernatorial elections in New Jersey and Virginia this year, and put the groundwork in place so that when 2026 comes along, that we're prepared to fight this tooth and nail against these guys who should not be in power.
What about the argument, Dave Weigel was making it a few moments ago, that this election showed us that the country shifted right? Simon, does that mean Democrats have to? Because I can't imagine progressives would agree with that.
No, listen, there's no question that we lost this election, right? I mean, I don't think we should have any debate about that. And the country did move to the right. And I think that, we've got a lot of work to do. I think I'm out here right now in Phoenix at a gathering of all the state Democratic Party chairs. I'll be speaking tomorrow at this gathering. And what I found today being here was a sense of people are resolute. They are aware of what happened. We know this was a tough election, but we've been through tough elections before. And as you mentioned, Stephanie, at the very beginning, this was a very close election. I mean, a few hundred thousand votes in those three blue wall states, and we would have, Kamala Harris would have won the election. And so I think there's a grit and a determination now and a ready to get back to work that I'm feeling here being with all the state party chairs. And whether we go right or left, these are all things that we're all going to be debating in the coming months. But I think the critical thing is that, I think the party is taking stock and listening and learning about what we did wrong and what we did right. And we need to come up with as Reed said, we need a better plan than what we had in 2024.
Reed, Politico is reporting that key agencies are bracing for a wave of resignations among this fear that Donald Trump is going to go after civil servants. How alarming is this? It just when I read it, it just felt like, is this happening in America?
Yes, but we've known this for at least the better part of a year. They've been telling us this. I mean, we did, tabletop exercise after tabletop exercise over the course of the year, understanding that, that this was likely to happen. I think it was Schedule F or whatever they were going to call it. Look, I think that the people that can afford to resign, right, if they've achieved a pension, maybe they just decide, you know what, I'll take a walk. If you've got 24 years and 6 months in, it's a heck of a lot harder to decide you want to do that. If you've got a kid in college or if you are trying to make the mortgage, it's all well and good to say, I want to stand up on principle. But look, these jobs are valuable, right? They tend to have a very long shelf life. They get paid pretty well. The benefits are good. And so, yes, there might be some resignations in places, let's say the FBI, if Kash Patel gets through. But, folks got to feed their families. They got to make their mortgages. And so I think that if you can afford to do that, or that you are willing to take the pain that comes along with voluntarily stepping aside from a civil service job, maybe you'll see it. But again, these are regular folks trying to do the best they can, and we shouldn't put something on them that unfairly burdens them, no matter how bad we believe that the Trump administration will be.